Welcome to Spirit Portal, a podcast with me, Erika Anderson. I'm an evidential medium and a spiritual seeker, always on a quest to more deeply understand the magic and mystery of this universe. Join me in an exploration of the realms, both seen and unseen. I'll share my insights and be joined by inspiring guests with their own unique perspectives on living in this quantum, magical universe. Welcome back to Spirit Portal. Thanks for being here with me. I'm Erika and I'm your host, and I hope you all are doing well today. I am up in a little mountain cabin, and as I've been up here just thinking about life and reconnecting into nature, I thought that it would be a fun podcast today to talk about relating to the elementals, relating to the land spirits, relating to nature and Gaia, and how to communicate in a heartfelt centered way with the elementals and really communicate through reciprocity and presence and care. Because I think there's a difference between trying to contact nature and learning how to be in a relationship with the elements of nature. And often when people ask about, well, how do I communicate with the elementals? Elementals being fairies and nature spirits and the land beings and the consciousness of trees. Often people want like a quick method, like a shortcut, and maybe even a way to receive signs and messages quickly. I understand that desire. But like all genuine spiritual relationships, communication with the elemental world is going to be relational. And of course, spontaneous experiences happen. I've had it happen to myself. I think I've told this story one time in my entire life that I'm going to tell on this podcast today because it's so different than anything I've ever experienced. But there are experiences where you suddenly sense a presence, in the forest, or you hear something in the air or in the wind or through the ocean, or maybe you've dreamt of your animal guides or elemental like fairy guides. And those moments are real. Those moments are beautiful and they are for a reason. But if you want to have consistent communication, if you want to have consistent experiences, again, it's built through what I talk about on this podcast a lot, through attention and reciprocity, tenderness, not just what can I receive? How can I know this is real? But what am I offering? What energy am I bringing? And what creates and then sustains this beautiful relationship? Because truly, truly, the elemental realms respond deeply to our sincerity. So if you want connections with the beings of the earth, first, begin by caring for the earth. Just like your own home, you show your home reverence, you show your family reverence by creating a sacred space at home, a place where people feel safe, a place where, you don't want dishes piled up in your sink for weeks at a time. It doesn't feel good. So it's like, for me, one of the ways that I care for my home and care for my family is I like to have my home feeling good, smelling good, being a place of safety and refuge. To me, that matters. And so when you want connections with the beings of the earth, pick up litter, protect the water, right? Respect the land you're walking on. Don't leave your doggy do bags everywhere. You don't have a picnic and leave your garbage but next to the river, right? You tend to the gardens and you talk to nature because it is their home. And sometimes the most powerful offering we can do isn't the ritual, it's the stewardship. And there's a recognition that maybe you want from it, but without needing recognition, the action becomes communication. You're saying, I care about your world. I honor this space, right? And so one of the things that matters to me when I go on my hikes and I'm communing with the trees and the air and the spirits of this land, I'm picking up litter along the way. I bring a little bag along with me, a little pack, and I put litter into it. And as I pick it up, I offer my blessings to the land. And when I do that, most of the time, I am offered back feathers or beautiful stones or messages that come through in downloads. And it's because I recognize that this is their home, this is my home. And when we take care of our home together, we're building a relationship, building a sacred space with one another. So that is one of the first things that I do. The other thing, the story that I want to tell you, and this story, it's a really special story, but I am going to share it with you today. I have this very sacred walk that I do up into the mountains. And on this walk is where all sorts of, hmm, all sorts of mystical things have happened to me, where I learned about singing light language, where I learned about creating this sacred space with the energies of the spirits of this land, that have, it sounds silly to say, but have become my friends. And I go there when I feel horrible sometimes, and I hike up this mountain as fast as I can. I get my energy out of my body that I don't need to carry. And then when I get to the top of this mountain, I then sit and I commune. I offer my gratitude. I enter into a sacred space. And when I come back down, it's like I'm filled with so much love that it's like pouring out of me and it becomes an offering. And one time when I was coming down from this mountain hike, it's a hike that is shared with bikers and horses and humans walking. And I saw this dying bumblebee, this big, fat, beautiful bumblebee. And I picked up this bumblebee and I offered it so much of that love that I was feeling, and I moved it off this trail where it had been run over, apparently. And I put it into this, I made like a little nest for it. And when I set it down into this place, I am not kidding. It sounds so weird to say this, but as I set it down, all of a sudden I saw the spirit of this bumblebee. It flashed in front of me, in front of my face, both internally and externally. It was like a dual vision, and it said thank you. It had this being had its hand over its heart, and then it flashed away. It was gone. And to me it was this spontaneous experience, but also it was a reciprocity, an experience that we shared together, and it felt the relationship. And to me that was a very sacred moment. You can judge me on that, but it was one of the most sacred moments that I've had with the elementals. And so there's a relationship that we build that creates a safe space. Something else that ancient traditions have done since the beginning of time and that I still do is creating an outdoor altar or a shrine. And you don't need anything elaborate for this. It's just a small space, but I have this special tree in my backyard and I feel the fairies and the elements around this tree. And I also want to call them to this space so that they know it's a safe space. And every week I put flowers out there. I have special stones and relics out there. I have a crystal out there. I have meaningful things. And it's my way of saying, I honor this beautiful space. I honor you. And the point of it is intention. It becomes a place where my awareness softens to them, and a place where potentially their energy can deepen if they want it to. And it becomes a point of meeting. For me, it's not a place where I meditate or I go sit, but it's a place of saying, I am acknowledging you here and I'm welcoming you here and I'm honoring you here. And there are different reasons why people have altars. I have an altar in my home as well, and it's more of a spiritual altar for honoring spirit and honoring different deities and honoring sacred creation and my communication with them. And then my outdoor altar is the same thing, but for the elementals, for the land, for the beings of the land, the keepers of the land. And almost like my altar outside is like, it's like a portal. It's like a softening space. So when we want to communicate with the elementals, whether we're talking about the fairies, the fae, the spirits and the keepers, or the trees, or different plants, you want to learn the language of being quiet because the elemental world is very rarely loud. I've never experienced it loud. I've experienced it through subtlety, through feelings, odd thoughts, that experience of taking care of that dying bumblebee and that flash of vision. I felt it in a pull of reverence for a certain place. There is a different trail that I walk that's further up in the mountains. And when I walk on this trail, it's like this deep hum. And even like 20 some years ago, when my husband and I first walked it together, we like walked this trail and we created this song because there's such a depth of energy there. And then around 10 years ago, when I was walking this trail, one time I was taking this picture of these beautiful rocks because like they just called to me. And when I got home and I was looking at those pictures later, I was like, oh my God, there are faces in these rocks. How did I not even see that? And there's like a sensation in the body or a deep knowing to a space and with the land and stillness and listening differently really helps you not miss the experience. Because often we're waiting for something dramatic when the experience itself is soft, subtle, unusual. And elemental communication can almost feel like a daydream or dreamlike. And that's because they're communicating through that spiritual aspect of ourselves. Again, often we're waiting for something loud and in our head, and it's going to literally come in like a daydream. So when you can find that quiet language, that stillness, you're going to start being able to communicate. And communication is not just speaking, but it's receiving through that. So for me, sitting with the trees is one of the most greatest teachers of presence because just like you and I, every tree has a different resonance, a different spirit, a different personality to it. So when you feel drawn to a particular tree, sit with it regularly. Put your hands on the trunk, lean back into it. Put your hands onto the earth nearby, like they're meeting the roots of the energy as they go deeper into the earth. You don't need to force any experience. Just notice how you feel. Breathe into that space. Offer your energy. Introduce yourself. How do you feel there? Are emotions rising with this tree? Do you feel any ancient energy, anything nurturing, playful, protective, wise? Sometimes the communication that we have with tree happens very slowly over time through a sense of familiarity, through a sense of consistency. And I remember one time when I had accidentally taken too many mushrooms. I was going to a concert with friends and we were all like nibbling on these little mushrooms. And I didn't know exactly how strong they were. And I remember telling my husband, we were very young at this time. He wasn't my husband yet, he was my boyfriend. And I was like, I just need to go home to my trees. I need to be with my trees. And that was the beginning of like this experience of remembering how much our landscape is our home to us. And So the relationship itself becomes a doorway. Just recognizing where you feel comfortable is the beginning of this relationship that you can have. Find where you feel comfortable, whether it's on a walk in your own backyard, up in the mountains, by the ocean, wherever your natural landscape is. Follow what draws you and go sit there and build this experience over time. Rather than trying to connect with all of nature at once, sometimes you just want to choose one plant ally. Maybe it's the rosemary you have sitting in your kitchen window, or the lavender that's growing, or the lilac that grows outside in your backyard. Maybe it's a tree outside your home, or maybe it's a house plant. Maybe it's a thriving house plant or a struggling house plant that you feel emotionally drawn towards. Spend time with it. Talk to it. Play music. Sing a song. Bring your tuning forks. Bless it. Notice its rhythms and sit with it and feel its personality. Yes, personality. Some plants are going to feel more nurturing. Some are going to feel protective. Some want to work with you as a wise elder that offers healing. Others are going to feel mischievous. You can even sit with this plant and do channeled writing. You can meditate with it in your arms. You can truly receive intuitive impressions to explore what role this plant seems to hold in your life. Is it a guardian? Is it a teacher? Is it a protector? Is it a friend? Right? And remember, always come back to what can I offer this plant? Not just what can it give to me. The goal here is not like some weird fantastical fantasy relationship. It's awareness, it's presence, it's coming back to this animism of the original experience of life, that all creation on this planet has spirit, has essence, has energy, and we are at play in this beautiful world. So, one of the most important things that we can remember in spirituality is that not every realm exists for human consumption. Okay, again, this is not transactional. How do I get signs? How do I get messages? How do I access the magic from this? But we're talking about something deeper here. How do you share an experience with the unseen world? What kind of energy are you creating? What are you doing to nourish this space, this place, this time? And how can you bring more harmony between you and this land? In the elemental world, one of the greatest things I've experienced is understanding that it responds to reverence even more than curiosity. Curiosity is a beautiful gateway to take you in, but the reverence, the honor, the reciprocity, the care is more important than anything else. And perhaps the deepest lesson they teach us is that we're not separate from them, that we together are a part of something and we get to participate in it. And so I just want you to remember that as you go into this communication and you go into this deepening with the elementals. Keep offering, keep honoring. And your curiosity is the most beautiful beginning, and sit with it and bring your love into it. And then it becomes an embodied relationship, an embodied space for both of you, for all of us. And I hope you enjoy this episode today as I bring you into my world experience with the elementals and the fairies and the fae and the tree spirits and the plant spirits and the air spirits and the water spirits. And just interacting opens the doorway. So have fun with it, and may it take you deeper into your reverence with love for Gaia. Have a beautiful day. Bye. Thank you for listening to another episode of Spirit Portal. If you like this episode, please help me grow, share it with your friends, and have a beautiful day.